Here we go, ladies and gents. Here we are for episode 6 of Riddler's Rambles, and I am still blown away that people are still here listening to me talk absolute waffle. But I'm guessing you're here for my guests, who are probably a lot more switched on than I am anyway. So that's cool. As long as you're here for someone, that's fine with me. Now, before I introduce today's guest, as per, a quick shout out to my patrons. Appreciate you all. The things that I do would not be as possible without you. That little bit of extra support goes a very long way. So thank you. If you're interested in joining, the link will be in the description. However, we're not here for that. We're here to talk all things reptiles, inverts, and probably quite a lot about TikTok as well, to be fair. So can I introduce my guest for episode 6? Nay, otherwise known as Pip and Frens. How are you, Nay? Are you all right?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, I'm all right. I'm not bad. I'm just making sure that the laptop has got enough Wi-Fi that we're not going to be lagging. But yeah, not bad. So we recently, let's start off straight away. We met for the first time recently in person at the Taunton Invert show. How did you find that? Not meeting me, the show itself.
The show was crazy. Like, I've been there at the Taunton Invert show every year, I believe, since they started it there. So there's been 3 years. This was the 3rd year.
Okay.
And this year was way busier than the previous 2 years, which is really cool to see, because it's awesome that people have got that passion for inverts.
It's my first ever invert show, to be fair, and I thought it was great. Like, whilst I didn't come away with anything living apart from plants, I really enjoyed it, and I got to see some things that I don't think I've ever actually seen in person before, so it was cool. But the majority of what you keep yourself is, obviously correct me if I'm wrong, but mainly inverts anyway, am I right?
Before
Or
the invert show, I would have said no, but now, yeah.
Well, as a quick introduction, do you want to just give us a little rundown of the thing or the animals and inverts that you keep?
Yes, so I have my albino Pac-Man frog, Fig. I have a crested gecko, Zora, who is the first exotic animal of the bunch I have now. I have my Mexican black king snake, Boo. I've got a brachypelma smithy, it's a Mexican redney, I think, called Salsa. I've got my cat and my dog, Pip and Lena,
Yeah.
who just well, they just hop into the background of all my lives and videos. They're involuntary guests.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I have bumblebee millipedes. What else have I got? I think I've named. I'm looking around now, like, oh gosh, this is bad. Yeah, and I've got my new additions. So I picked up a widow jumping spider at the invert show, a Puerto Rican pink toe tarantula, a Peruvian leaf mantis,
Wow.
and a panther mantis, which I was overjoyed about because I've been looking for panther mantises for the longest time.
Did you know there were going to be some there, or was it like a nice surprise for you?
I did not. I had 3 like acrylic enclosures set up, and I was like, I'm gonna go there and I'm gonna probably get a mantis. And I was like, "Do you know what? I'm gonna get a mantis, and if they have a Grammostola pulchra sling there, I'll probably grab that." And I was like,
Hmm.
and that's it. I'm not getting anything else. And then I went there and I was like with my partner Kyle, and I was like, babe. um, which he was pretty okay with it because I had the enclosure set up for the things that I picked up. But yeah, there were some things that he was like, absolutely not, and I was like, it's fine. I pushed my luck enough. Like, I was looking at some isopods, and he was like, no more isopods.
Oh, right. Okay. Have you got quite a collection of isopods, have you?
I have previously. Now all of the isopods I have are in bioactive, so I don't actually have any
Right.
isopods separate to those. But he's like, I've had enough of isopods being everywhere. Like, I've had some escapee isopods in the past, and
Yeah.
escapee like feeder insects, and like bugs are not really his jam. So
Mm. I think the worst I've ever done is I ordered a bulk bag of not quite the adult locust, but the large locust. Obviously, they came in the bag. I brought them into the reptile room. I think I was just feeding Ragnar, maybe, or I was feeding someone. Thought nothing of it, well and good. And then the next morning, because to get to the utility room where the like washing machine tumble dryers, you've got to walk through the reptile room. I heard the reptile room door open, and all of a sudden I heard, "Oh my god!" I was like, "What?" And my missus just went, "You forgot to shut the bag of locust." And I went, "Oh." She went, "They're literally everywhere." And as she opened the door, they all jumped and obviously startled her as well.
Oh, no.
So yeah, I was swiftly out of bed and down to hunt as many locusts down as I could. I nearly just let Ragnar out to see if she could hunt them down, but it was quite a lot of locusts. But that was a fun morning. What else have I done? One of the millipedes got out a little while ago. I don't know how. For the life of me, no idea. And again, she was like, "One of your bugs has got out. My bad." Luckily, so far, and actually it shouldn't do now, the jumping spider hasn't ever got out. I think if the jumping spider got out, I'd probably be in trouble. But whilst, to be fair, whilst at the invert show, I did pick her up because I did a little DIY enclosure for her, just using a little almost, I was about to say a Tupperware pot. It wasn't a Tupperware pot, like a storage container on its side. So it was a good size, but it started looking a little bit not worse for wear, but almost not escape proof. So whilst I was at the invert show, I saw like those little I think they're 3D printed enclosures. And it wasn't bad actually. I think for a medium size it was about 15 quid. So I bought one of them, and she's looking good in there actually. She's looking really good. Maybe I'll whack up some B-roll if I remember and have a chance. But it's a nice little enclosure, and now I'm safe knowing that unless I leave the door open, she can't get out. So that's good. But yeah, I did push my luck with that jumping spider. But yeah, if I ever came back with a tarantula, I'd be in big trouble. So you've got that at least. But how many, was it 2 tarantulas you got this weekend, or did you say it was? Yeah,
2 tarantulas. But yeah, I actually have had my jumping spider escape before, not this one, but one I had in the past.
yeah.
The lid had been popped off the top, and
Oh.
I was in my Discord server, like panicking. I was like, "Guys, my jumping spider's not there, and the lid's popped open, and I don't know what to do." And I literally got everything. I was looking around for this like little speck of a spider. I was like, "I've got no chance in hell of finding this guy." And then like a few hours later, as if like taunting me, I like looked up at my wall, and I've got like taxidermy frames on the wall, like just here,
Yeah.
and just this little jumping spider was just walking across the top of the frame, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And like, you know, jumping spiders when they're about to jump, they like wave their front legs around. She started doing that at me, and I was like, "Are you for real?"
The absolute cheek of them. Do you know what? I didn't realize how much character can be packed in such a small little creature. It's unbelievable.
Yeah,
Because obviously to transfer her into the new enclosure, I was like, well, she's quite big now, to be fair. She's a good size, but I was like, I don't really want to just like tip her in. I've got to like get her out. And I got her out, and she was like walking along my hand and things like that. And I was just like, this is cool. And she was just, yeah, pottering about and just enjoying the brief moment of freedom, I guess. But she's really cool. I'm really glad I got her, actually. In actual fact, some of your videos, and shout out to Tara, otherwise known as Marshmallow the Ball Python, who also has jumping spiders, or a jumping spider. They were inspirational for me because I saw the videos and I was like, they're so cute. They just are. And anyone who says they're not cute must have arachnophobia, because I don't understand how you can look at them and go, all right, that's quite cute. But I'm a fan, and ever since I got my first inverts, I've been tempted to go for more. My missus disagrees. Incredibly. Now, at some point in the future, I'm going to have a completely separate reptile room. So next year, you heard it here first, I'm getting a giant African millipede. I'm getting one. I have to.
do it. I love them.
They're so cool. It was either that or the guy showed me, was it an olive millipede? I think it was. it was basically green. I mean, it had really like almost like pastely pink legs as well. And it obviously he put it in my hands like that, and I was just there going, "Why have you done this?" And he was like, "It's cool, isn't it?" And I was going, "Yes, but I'm still not allowed one." I did message my missus and say, "Can I get a millipede?" And she said, "No more insects or no more bugs." She said, and I was like,
You know what might sway her?
"Go on."
Have you seen pink dragon millipedes?
I don't think I have. No.
So they're kind of more flat body, but they've got like little spikes, and they are like pink, like bright pink. They are really beautiful,
Oh
and
wow.
they're very pretty. So if like your giant African looks a bit creepy, then like those are a bit more cool looking for someone who might be not so keen.
Okay.
Also bumblebee millipedes, they don't grow too big, so and they've got
Mm.
the yellow and black striping, so those are often more popular for people that are a bit like ooh about millipedes.
Yeah, that's quite cool. I do really like them. Like I got the stick insects as well. I always worry that I'm butchering the name, but I think they're Sungaya stick insects. I think I'm not sure if that's how you say it, but they're really cool. And actually, I came into my reptile room a week or so back. No, about 2 weeks ago, and I looked in there. I was just going to give them a spray, top up the food, and I saw 3 or 4 little babies. I was like, I have no idea where you have come from, but okay, fine, that's cool. 3 or 4 babies, we can deal with that. And about 4 or 5 days after that, I walked in again. There was a lot more than 3 or 4
I was like, I
babies.
know where this is going.
There was a lot more than 3 or 4 babies. There was probably about 15 to 20 babies. I did offer them out, not for a fight. I offered them to people.
Yeah, stick insects were actually what got me into inverts originally. Well, leaf insects, but leaf insects are technically also stick insects. They're under the same kind of umbrella.
Right.
Um,
Okay.
if I had never kept leaf insects, I don't think I would have anything more than my crested gecko. Like they just completely opened me up to the world of inverts, and
Wow.
then that spiraled.
Yes, yeah, that's usually how it goes. So was that the first thing you got then? Or was it the crested gecko?
It was I got the leaf insects first, so
Oh, you did. You got
it
them
was just
first.
Pip, my dog.
Yeah.
It was we were in the pandemic. I was staying at my mum's house at the time. Um, I'm immunocompromised, so I was told I had to self-isolate from people in the same house as me. So
Oh
I
wow.
was boxed into one room, and my mum would like get like a tray of food and like slide it through the door,
Oh
like
God.
like I was literally just in this tiny box room, and I was kind of losing my mind a bit. Like I was terrified, like 'cause no one knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And it got to a point where like all this stuff was being fed to me about like if you leave the house and you interact with people, like you could get COVID and you could pass away from catching that. So I became like severely agoraphobic. Like I wasn't like at first I was going out for like a little bit of exercise, and then it just turned to like shutting myself in, and I was binge watching YouTube videos, and I came across people who were keeping leaf insects, and I was like, oh man, they look like tiny living leaves, like they're so cool.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and I like started looking into their care and stuff, and found that they needed to eat brambles. And I was living in like a countryside area at the time that had brambles everywhere. So I got the leaf insects, and I was like, these are going to get me out of the house, because there's no way. And I've always loved animals. There was no way that I was going to put my fear of leaving the house above caring for the leaf insects.
Yeah.
So I
Of
bought
course.
everything I needed for them. I bought the leaf insects, and that was what like got me to tackle my agoraphobia during the pandemic and got me out and about every day, because I was cutting brambles for these leaf bugs. Um,
Wow.
and I thought it was just going to be like some silly little thing to like while I was going through the pandemic and stuff. And um, I don't know, I fell in love with them. They were called
Mm.
Coco and Pop. And it's the little wiggles they do. They
Mm.
kind of wiggle around. They want to imitate leaves swaying in the wind, and they're really personable. And that then went on to mantises, because they've got kind of similar body language that um, really resonated with me. It just went on, and here I am.
Yeah, that's the way it usually goes, isn't it? To be fair, it starts with so I'll just get this one. Then you go, actually, they're quite cool as well. Or maybe I'll get that as well. And then before you know it, yeah, you're sat in a reptile room or anything like that. wondering where you're going to put the next ones and when you can start building your bigger reptile room. But yeah, I mean, I have. Luckily, the good news is like I say, because you've got to walk through the reptile room to get to the utility room. I have been told that I'm hoping to convert the conservatory into a reptile room, which means that the only reason to go in there is if you want to go in there. So, with that being said, I can basically get whatever I want. Apart from, I've been told I'm not allowed anything dangerous, which, to be fair, I don't want any venomous animals anyway. I'm not really keen on the idea. I mean, obviously, you've got to get DWA licensed and everything anyway. But I've also been told the line is drawn at tarantulas. So I'm assuming centipedes as well. Millipedes, fine. Stick insects, leaf insects, isopods, whatever. I'm good to go, because the only reason to go in there is if you need to go in there. So that's good. That's for the future. Obviously, with that being said, have you got anything? I know you've just got a few new bits, a few new little animals anyway. But have you got anything on the list for the future, or not really?
I have quite a big list of animals that I'm interested in the future.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
You see, I live in a studio flat, so there is no separate reptile or animal room. It's this room. So everything I get, my partner has to be comfortable with. And
Yeah.
I say to people all the time, like, I would probably, if I lived on my own, be like, I don't need a bed. Like, I'll just I'll just sleep on the floor, and I don't need heating. Like, I'll just sleep next to the snake enclosure. Like, it's fine. Like, but I
It's
can't
fun,
do that with
yeah.
my partner.
It's funny you say that. Literally, so the reptile room that I'm in now doesn't have like a radiator in it. It doesn't need it. This is like everyone's heat goes off overnight. There's always, because I believe in like temperature drops overnight as long as it's not too cold. But honestly, I will walk out of here even with lights and heat off, and the rest of the house is a lot cooler than it is in here. So yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying. It's probably quite snug in here sometimes, especially in the winter. But I think it'd be a bit weird if I slept here instead of in bed with my wife. But anyway, so yeah.
It doesn't make for good sleep, sleeping next to my reptiles, especially, or like my animals, because especially because my bed, when it comes out, because I've got a sofa bed, when it
Yeah.
pops out, I'm laid next to my gecko's enclosure, and obviously they're crepuscular, so I'll
Yeah.
be like trying to go to sleep, and then I hear like ping pong from there, like bouncing around the enclosure, and I end up just sitting there like, man, I love you, you're so cool.
Yeah. And then every now and again, you'll just hear like the thud on the glass where they're just
Yeah.
jumping from. So yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. I think we had our Cresty in our bedroom for a little while when we first moved in, because for a little while they were in. So we had two bearded dragon enclosures and then the Cresty on top. The problem is the Cresty enclosure is a little bit easier to get into than the beardies, and the cats knew that. So we came down one night. It wasn't open, but you could see where the top, like the mesh lid, had sort of bent in a little bit, where they'd been sat on it trying to get in. So obviously, for the meantime, we thought, right, upstairs, out of the way of the cats, because they sleep in the living room overnight. And literally on the first night, the lights went off. We're sat there chilling, obviously watching TV. We're doing what we're doing, and you just hear some rustling. You're like, oh right, Lando's awake. All right, no worries. And then you just hear thud. Like, okay. And then you hear more rustling. And then you hear more thuds. You're like, all right, I'm sure he'll settle down in a bit. TV off, time to go to sleep. It could literally be 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, and then all of a sudden you just hear, like, what? What are you doing? Well, I think there was once I got up to go and get a glass of water or something, and I just shone my light in there just to see what he was doing. And he was just pressed up against the glass like that, just looking out. And I was like, are you good? He was like, yeah. All right, fair enough. But yeah, he's not in our room anymore. I'm sorry, go on.
Luckily, my partner, he sleeps through anything and everything, so I got really lucky on that. But yeah, Zora does some crazy stuff. Like, I used to have like a bauble hide in her enclosure, like right in the middle, and like the amount of times that she was like Miley Cyrus wrecking ball swinging through the middle of our enclosure on that thing, like they just crack me up so much.
I'd say they are just full of personality. People really don't give them enough credit. I say that a lot, especially about my leopard gecko. Like, this discussion was had recently between myself and Paul, just talking about obviously that people don't give enough credit to the apparent beginner reptiles. It's like everyone's just like it's just a leopard gecko, it's just a crested gecko, and it's almost like it's just there. But if you sit and enjoy these animals, they are packed full of character. Like my leopard gecko, she's quite high up, but every time I walk past that enclosure, I have to peek in just to see what she's doing, because most of the time during the day she's in her warm hide, she's sleeping, she's chilling, fine. But there's occasions that I'll pop my head up to see what she's doing, and she's just at the glass, just like, "You all right?" "Yeah, good." And she'll wander around. She'll maybe hunt for some locust, or she's climbing through her like cork stack of it. And you don't need a massively expensive or big animal to enjoy them, because they're incredible. They really are. They really are. The one I'm looking forward to, I'm hoping. Well, actually, because you said your partner is quite a heavy sleeper and sleeps through anything. Mine isn't. She does, especially at the minute, pregnancy and things like that. She wakes up quite a lot. Now, luckily at the minute, the tokay isn't making any noise. I have heard, however, that after a little while, and they reach a certain age, we might start hearing some tokay calls in the night. I think that's cool. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't warned my missus that could be the case.
Oh, no. See, I made the same mistake and took a bit of a gamble when I got my frog. No, I lucked out because Fig is a female, so not gonna be making a racket. But
Right.
I got Fig when he was like the size of a golf ball, like
Yeah.
teeny tiny, and I had no idea whether Fig was gonna be a girl or a boy. Um, my partner would have absolutely killed me if Fig was upright, like up at night time making a racket. Like,
Mm, yeah. Yeah, because I think a lot of the frogs do that, don't they? I think like the milk frogs call to each other at night and things like that. I don't know about the you might know more than I do, but I don't know about the green tree frogs, and I don't know if they do or not. I'm not
I
sure.
think they do, yeah.
You think they do? Yeah. I mean, again, they are some sort of frog species is on the list for me as well, for sure. Once I've got the room and obviously the time and things like that, I just think they're great. I
What species are you thinking of?
Ah, it's a tough. I do like the what are they called, the waxy monkey frogs, I think
Waxy
they're
monkey
called.
tree frogs, yeah.
Yeah, they
That's
are cool.
cool.
I do like those, or just the red eye tree frogs.
Those
They
are
are
very popular.
stunning. Yeah, they're really really nice as well. But I'm not sure. I would like something, or maybe even a little terrarium, or not, like maybe a paludarium or something for some poison dart frogs.
Oh, I love
Because
that. My partner's
again,
obsessed with them.
they're stunning. They really
They're
are.
so
And like
cute.
the little slice of the jungle that you could build for them would be incredible. Like
Yeah.
I'm very much getting into. Well, at the minute, what I'm trying to do, as everyone knows by now, I'm just upgrading and redoing a lot of enclosures. Before I get anything else, I can't afford anything else because of obviously baby number 2 on the way, and B, I'm just trying to get everyone to as close to perfect care as I can. So, for example, at the minute, at time of recording, I am doing the milk snake completely brand new DIY background, like fake rock. It's going to have plant pots in there. So far, it's looking class, but I'm really really enjoying the upgrades, like, and just knowing that like the way these things look and the things that you can do if you really give it a go. So the idea of getting like a frog paludarium or something like that, I think would be incredible. um I must admit, I started really getting into plants as well. I don't know what are you
Dang,
like with plants?
that is dangerous.
It is.
So you can't see right now because it's pretty dark in my flat. But like there's a little enclosure, that's Zora's enclosure there, and then
Yeah.
Fig's is next to it. Ooh, I'm trying to point backwards here. On
Yeah.
top of there, It's like a
Yeah.
whole jungle of plants on top of his Viv. I try my best. Those
Hmm.
are doing okay, but like they're mostly just backups because I
Right.
think if you're gonna do live planted enclosures, you need backup plants, especially if
Mm.
you have the kinds of animals that like to be like excavators. Like Fig loves to just stomp through his enclosure and like
Mm.
tip his plants from underneath, and like most of his plants are not doing well.
Mm.
So you just need to have like replacements all the time for it. But I love plants. But yeah, I have whatever the opposite of a green thumb is. So
Mm. I've started getting a little bit better, but only because I am sort of, because before what it would be like, right, I've got an enclosure, I'm going to go to B&Q or something. I'll check to make sure they're reptile safe, of course. Like, I'm not just going to chuck any old nonsense in there. Make sure it's reptile safe, whack it in there, hope for the best. Obviously, with that being said, most of them didn't survive. So I was buying plants, they'd look nice for about 3 or 4 days, and then that was pretty much it. Whereas now it started getting to the point. So I did the tokay enclosure, and not only have I got it's an LED light bar, but it's actually meant for aquariums, but it's working really well. And obviously in that enclosure as well, I've also got the air duct system, so it's constantly or well 8 hours a day, 8 hours, 12 hours a day. It's circulating the air, which obviously helps stop the stagnation of the air. And the plants in there are still alive, like 5 or 6 months later. And for me, I literally every time I see that enclosure, I'm like, how? What? How have I managed that? But because of that, I've started propagating pothos. I've started trying to rescue some plants that hadn't quite died yet. And I have also been told off a few times recently for buying more. Uh, I have been told, she'll see another plant pot with new plants in there. She'll go, "We don't have money. What are you?" I'm like, "Yeah, but it's just a plant. We don't have. Stop buying plants." I never, ever in a million years thought I would be getting told off for buying plants, because back in the day, I used to not make fun of my parents, but when they were going to garden centres and they were looking at the plants, and I'd be there going, "Oh, this is boring. Can we either look at the fish or go home?" I never thought I'd be the guy going, "Let's go and look at some plants."
I love that.
And here we are. Here we are. I am that guy.
Are you into aquatics like now?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, that's how I started. I started with fish. I think I got my first fish tank at 16 years old, which, oh, blimey, was nearly 15 years ago now. That's depressing. But anyway, we won't get into that. But yeah, so I got my first ever fish tank was a little fluval edge. I did so many things with that fish tank. I had it as tropical, I had it as cold water. I actually did like a nano marine like reef setup for a little while as well.
Ooh,
That actually worked really well. Um, yeah, that was really nice little tank. And then as you get older and bigger, so do the fish tanks. It's always the way. Before I moved out of my parents' house, so a good sort of 10 years ago or so, I had a 180 litre tank, which I've still got to be fair, but I had it set up again as a reef tank, and it
mhm.
was stunning. It was such a nice setup. And I'm hoping to do it again in the future. But at the minute, it's in the living room. It's just got upgraded lighting, upgraded filtration, and it's just a little tropical setup. So I've got some tiger barbs, a couple of gourami, obviously some little sand dwellers like some corridoras, brittle nose. It's a nice little tank because again, it's just that little bit of life, like excitement and colour in the living room. We have recently built a koi pond in the garden as well. So that's, yeah,
Nice.
I mean that one, the only reason I managed to get away with that one is because my dad's got or had a koi pond in his garden, but they are very, very shortly, again at time of recording, moving to Devon. He wanted to bring his fish with him because they live in London currently. So basically, he said, if we build a pond in your garden, we'll bring them to yours. When we build a pond in our new house, we transfer them to our house, and then you do what you want with the pond afterwards. I was like, well, obviously I'm going to keep it. And lo and behold, I said to him, yeah, they want to keep their fish. Is that all right? Yeah, I guess so. And then we get a pond afterwards. Lovely job. So yeah, that's cool. We've got his koi in there now. and my son especially, he loves it. Like, he's only he's bordering 2 years old. He knows where that pond is, and he will walk you to the back door and just go, pond. And you look at him and you literally go, son, it's basically a gale outside. It's like, it's a hurricane. What would you, pond? No.
That's so wholesome, though.
I
Like,
know, I
I
know.
have really fond memories, growing up of, like, so many different animal interactions, like, maybe even some from that young that I've
Yeah,
retained, and I haven't retained a lot of childhood memories, to be honest with you, but animal interactions, like, they really do stick with you, and I have
yeah.
fond memories of going to my grandma's growing up, and she's always had a pond in her back garden, and I remember her, like, she'd give me a little pinch of fish flakes for me to pop in her pond, and, like, that's a really fond memory for me, and, like,
Mm.
I'm sure that will stick with him as well.
Definitely. I mean, what was cool is the last time we went up to London, I think it was just shortly before Christmas. Whilst we were around a certain area where they've got garden centres and things like that, we took him to see the Christmas lights. He loves the lights and things like that. But we actually went to one of these like aquatic centres. But it's one that I was literally taken to by my parents, by my dad, for example, when I was no older than, I must have been between 5 and, I don't know, maybe 10 years old. And they'd take me to this place, and we'd see the fish, and there was like a communal koi pond that you could interact with the fish because they were so friendly. You could stroke them and things like that. And then, yeah, in December, I took my son to that same aquatic shop and showed him pretty much those same fish who he interacted with, and he stroked them. And I was just there thinking, this is crazy. This is 3 generations of our family
That's
that
so
have been.
wholesome.
I know. I honestly, I had to get a video of it as well. But I was just like, it's incredible. Like 3 generations of our family that have been to this fish shop and all just. Now, he does have his dad's taste in fish because he always wanted to go back to the most expensive koi pond.
Love it.
Yeah, there was one where they were like freshly imported Japanese koi. I think they were sort of like maybe a foot, half a foot, and they were about 850 pounds of fish. Now, I kept going to the ones where they were smaller. You know, oh, look, son, there's more in there. They were still Japanese koi, but they were just smaller. And he was just looking over and going, fish, to that same pond. And I was like,
Oh, look, son, tetras.
yeah. Look, you can get 5 for a tenner. Oh, lovely. He's like, those ones. All right, no worries. So he's got his dad's taste, to be fair. But
Love that.
yeah, I do love keeping fish. But is that something you've done or you would do? Or
I have kept fish in the past. Growing up, I kept them. I had a little betta fish. It was one of my first ever fish I had growing up. I had a red one, and I was just fascinated by the way they move around.
yeah,
Um, Fresh into adulthood, I was quite interested in fancy goldfish, but not so much now because I don't like the ethics of them with their
mhm,
bulgy eyes and things and the
yeah,
issues they can have.
mm,
Aquatics intimidate me, I'm not gonna lie, but I'm hoping to dive into aquatics a little bit with a couple of the future animals that I want to get. My partner really likes fish,
yeah,
and obviously I live close to an aquarium, and seeing those fascinates me. But yeah, I've been looking into maybe doing a setup with some African clawed frogs and some tetras because my partner really loves tetras, and you can
nice.
still have them, which I think would
Yeah,
be
yeah,
really cool. And before I even look into that, kind of a semi-aquatic thing is vampire crabs. I'm absolutely fascinated by vampire crabs, and they need kind of like a paludarium kind of setup.
hmm,
But it
they are stunning.
intimidates me. It's
Yeah,
all the, like, water conditioned stuff. I'm like, "Oh my god." Like, Reptiles is overwhelming enough with all the lighting and things, and Inverts have their own things you need to know, but yeah, eventually.
yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Like you say, it's another level of obviously things that you've got to keep an eye on and care and filtration and like you say, the levels and things like that. We did for a little while. We did try to set that fish tank up again as a marine setup. It just did not work For the life of me, the fish were fine. The fish were surviving. We probably could have had it as just a fish, like marine setup, but for some reason the water quality wasn't getting to the point where the corals were surviving. Which it's not all about the money, but they're quite expensive,
Yeah.
So when you've got, and it just, I don't know what it was. Like, for the life of me, it just wasn't. And it got to a certain point that I tried to do something else, it didn't work, and I just stood in my living room and I went, right, no. I just called out to him. I went, I think we just need to go tropical for a little while. She was like, yeah, fine. But like you say, there's just that whole other, because obviously even with marine as well, there's even more so. Obviously with your normal tropical, you've got ammonia, nitrite, nitrate. Once you get on top of that, obviously you look at your pH, things like that. But what goes into the marine stuff is ridiculous. Like, it's worth it, because when you see when it works beautifully. But for now, I'm happy just to make sure, no ammonia, no nitrite. My nitrate is stable. I'll do my water. In actual fact, the good thing with that is I've started using, when I do a water change on my fish tank, I keep a lot of the water behind to feed to my plants. So there you go. It's these things, they're starting to mold together now. So yeah, it's good. I'm looking forward to seeing. Well, like I say, I have been put on a little bit of a ban for now, but we will see. But the vampire crabs, they are cool. Is that something that might happen anytime soon, or not
No,
really?
not anytime
No.
soon. I'm kind of in a similar boat to you, where I'm trying to get all my animals up to like a point where I'm like, I can't do better than this. This is the best I can do. Like, this is the most like beautiful, enriching enclosure I can make for all my animals before I get any more. I've got a long list of animals I want in the future, but I'm
Yeah.
not in any kind of hurry for them.
Mm.
Like I'd quite like a mandarin rat snake. Those are a wish list animal that people know that I really love.
Mhm.
Um, um, Leachianus gecko,
Yeah.
uh, Aki monitor.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was on my. I recently did a top 5 dream reptile species list, and the Aki was on that list for sure.
They're stunning. I'm
They're
also super jealous of your tokay. Like, I love tokay geckos.
No, see, the thing is, I don't know when this is going to come out in relation to any other videos. I've not done a video on what I'm about to mention here, and I don't know if I'm going to. But I tell you what, let's just make this possibly an exclusive. I now have a male tokay gecko as well.
Ooh.
Not living together yet because he's still a little bit too small. I think because I got him from Freddie FJR Exotics. And he said, I think he's around about a year old now, this male. So he said he should actually start calling out soon as well, which is what I was saying earlier on in the podcast. So the female is in the 2x4x2, the planted beautiful enclosure. He's currently in, I can't remember the size, but it's slightly bigger than your standard like cresty enclosure. Eventually they will go together. Obviously, hopefully they like pair bond. But they, like you say, they are incredible.
They're
Every
awesome.
time I see them, I'm just blown away at this blue and orange animal that looks like a Pokemon. I think they're amazing, and I'm really glad I went for. I was about to say one, but and maybe some babies in the future. Do you know what? It's crazy because I didn't know this until fairly recently-ish. Obviously, when it comes to cohabbing, 9 times out of 10 with reptiles, it's a big no-no. You don't do it. It stresses out. It's not worth it. But then someone told me that tokays literally pair bond and they create little family setups. So they guard the eggs when the babies are born. They like bring the food back to the babies, and they live as a commute, like a family unit. And to me, I heard that and I just went, well, I have to. Like, you know what I mean? That is incredible. Like, where else do you hear that? So yeah, that's hopefully the plan. So Riddler's Tokay babies, you heard it here first.
Oh, that's so cool. See, the thing with like cohabbed animals, like that you can like safely cohab as well, is seeing those interactions between the animals. I imagine is really cool. It's something that I haven't like personally experienced, but like, I would love to in the future have some kind of animal that you can cohab and see those interactions, because them interacting with you is one thing, but them interacting with other animals of the same kind is another thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. The dimming, the light keeps dimming and going up behind me, and I'm like, "What is happening?"
Is that the Cresty enclosure? Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, there it goes. He's having a little rave in there.
yeah, I don't know what is happening.
Um, the other one that I do want to, again, it'd be in the future. It's not anytime soon, but similar to that is garter snakes. And
Yes.
once again, I want a nice big enclosure that I can just fully deck out and put a family of garter snakes in there. Because could you imagine just coming in one day and just seeing some little baby garters just
So
milling
cool.
about? Oh my god! And they're stunning. They really are. They're a beautiful species of snake. Like, I'm a big fan of snakes. Obviously, with the reptiles, but I know that some people aren't massive fans of them. There's a lot of people that are scared of them, but some people, even reptile keepers, don't like snakes because apparently they see them as boring. I I know. Like, but the thing is, there's more to it, because I think when people say that, they're more thinking about a royal python, even though I've got a few of them still, and I love them, to be fair. I think people see it and they go, well, it's an animal that you never see, that never comes out, that you can only see at night. But it's not technically true. I've got a couple of even royals. Like my milk snake, she's out quite often. I love her. She's incredible. Honestly, this snake is
She's
amazing.
beautiful.
And she's the one that's getting the latest upgrade. And let me tell
Yeah.
you, I am buzzing for this.
Yeah, I think as well, like a lot of people keep snakes, and just like a lot of animals in general, like Pac-Man frogs get the same rap, like, oh, they're pet rocks, they don't do anything. But I think it's about providing that opportunity, because a lot of people will, um, house snakes in racks or smaller enclosures, and they go, well, they don't do anything. But if you give them climbing opportunities, if you give them the opportunity to be enriched and to explore and to do different things, then they're likely to utilize that space, and
Mm.
you're going to see more activity and more natural behavior from them.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the thing. Like, you can't say the snake doesn't do anything if there's nothing it can do.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's like locking someone in their bedroom and saying, well, they don't get out and do anything, do they? Well, of course they can't. They can't get out. You know what I mean? So it's the same thing. That's what it comes down to. It's all right. The lizards are out and about, but even then, like, I know people say, oh, the snakes are hidden, but my beardies, they can happily, even though they're out, they will just sit
Yeah.
and nothing. And you're just like, well, how is that different from a snake? Even though they're out, like, I still think they're incredible. I love the beardies. I think they're great. But it's just funny how people say the snakes are boring and the lizards aren't, even though the lizard is out, but just like sat there like that. You're
I'm
like,
I want to know what snakes people think are boring of it, because I mean royals get a bad rap, and like that hurts me a little bit, because they're awesome, but like
they are.
I've got my king snake, and she doesn't stop moving and doing things. Like, she's always doing things and climbing and burrowing, and like she's so goofy, and I don't know, I don't get it. It's one of the reasons why I really, really love Tara, Marshmallow on
Yeah,
TikTok.
yeah,
I
yeah.
love her because she's showing, like, she puts like goofy little hats on her snake and is like reaching so many people and showing them how cool and likable and personable snakes can be.
Yeah,
Um, that I don't know, it just blows my mind. It
I
blows
know.
my mind because, as you said, beardies can just sit and do nothing all day.
Yeah,
In the daytime, my crested gecko's hidden and doesn't do anything because
yeah.
she's crepuscular. Um, and Pac-Man frogs, as I said, like they're known for being like a pet rock. But I've got a video I'm posting tomorrow of him pushing through. Like, he's got all this space in his enclosure, and
Hmm.
I put all the plants on the back, so he's got all this space up front to move around. And I've got this video of him squishing himself, like crawling through his plants, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like,
Hmm.
he's non-stop. He uses that entire space
Yeah,
in that viv, and um, I don't it just I don't think any animals are boring, to be honest with
yeah,
you.
yeah. Again, like you say, if you give them the opportunity, they're going to utilize it. But the thing is, even if they don't, why does that mean we should keep them in a smaller space anyway? It doesn't.
Yeah,
You know, like I say, even if a royal did only come, because I remember there was someone on Facebook recently, and I think it was one of these like enclosure forums or groups or something. And someone said, you know, I'm looking for a 4x2x2 for a royal. Is that okay? Is that the right size? Blah blah blah. Or should I go bigger? And someone actually commented saying, you don't even need to go that big. They don't do anything 97% of the time. Now, my comment to him, usually I'll just scroll past. I'm just like, I don't care, whatever do. But I saw that and I went, what about the other 3% of the time? I was like, if they are only active for 3% of the time, that's still 3% of their day that they need access to room, you know, and space and things to do. It doesn't matter whether it's 1% or 99%. If that animal is active for any period of time, you give it as big a space as you can. And lo and behold, I didn't get a reply. Like, it wasn't a DM. I'm not that bad that I'm gonna like direct message someone. I just commented. You know what I mean? I was just like, well, and yeah, it didn't get a response. A few people liked it and were like, well, yeah, of course, but I don't know. And I'm not trying to be that sort of social media hero, but I every now and again I'll just see a comment and go, really? But yeah, I mean, to be fair, this is quite a good segue into the social media side of things because you are fairly active on social media, aren't you?
Yes.
Mainly, am I right in saying mainly TikTok?
Yep, definitely mainly TikTok.
Are you on any other social media sites as well, or is it mainly just?
I'm on YouTube. I've not been posting for a while, but I've been wanting to eventually transition to doing more YouTube videos because I find myself trying to compact information into short form for TikTok, and they're still like 2 minutes long and don't get seen on there. So I'm thinking, maybe get a better camera and do longer form content on YouTube would be a bit more suitable to like my more educational videos.
Yeah.
But I am on YouTube. I do occasionally post on there.
Yeah, yeah. I
um,
mean, at the end of the video, obviously, all of your links and stuff will be in the description, but we'll get to that later on. To be fair.
but Discord, if you count that, like I'm really really active in my Discord server. Um, Crazy actually, because I started that at the end of last year, and we're probably nearly 200 people in there now, which is
Oh wow.
insane.
Okay.
Blows my mind. Um,
Incredible.
yeah, mostly I'm active on TikTok and Discord.
Okay.
Um,
And how do you find? I know it's quite a broad question, but how do you find TikTok? Do you like it as a platform, or I mean, I'm assuming so if you're on it that often. But like, what are your thoughts on it, like in general?
um, it is a big question. Oh, there's so many different things I could say about this. So,
Mm.
um, one thing I don't like about TikTok, especially in the world of animals, is that um, people like a big bang, a big shock factor, a big, and people, a lot of creators are making really shocking content, or they're using animals as a form of entertainment, which I think is fine, but I do think sometimes it goes too far and it can encourage people to hoard animals and build up like huge collections.
Hmm.
And I think that can be really negative. Is that I think there's a responsibility we have as content creators to let people know the level of care and effort it takes to take care of the animals we have. And I think TikTok could maybe do a little bit better in putting that out there, um, which I think is one of the issues. But obviously, I kind of struggle because I don't know whether classify myself more as a video maker or a live streamer at this point because I kind of do them an equal amount. But one thing I do really like about TikTok is live streaming. You have such an opportunity to reach a wider group of people, and it's really really good for making connections and meeting all kinds of new people, and kind of boosting your following. Like lives are an amazing tool on TikTok, and they're always adding more interactivity, which I think is awesome. Um, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, it's pros and cons really. Like it can connect you with like-minded people. Being interested in inverts, I've felt like such a weirdo, and people in my day-to-day life get absolutely sick to death of hearing me talk about insects and reptiles, because it's just a silly little bug. What you on about? But I've
Yeah,
met
yeah.
so many people that understand that passion. Like, I will sob whenever an invert passes,
Mhm.
and like, it will devastate me just as much as an animal with a longer lifespan. And I've met so many people that feel the same way on
Mm.
TikTok, which I just think is amazing. Like, um, it's the wild reach as well. Like, I got really emotional the other day talking to my partner, and I was like, some like a couple of kids from the opposite side of the world not only have connected with my community and are regularly interacting with my content, but they've taken time out of their lives to create pieces of art of my animals and send them to me.
Wow.
And like I got really teary talking about it, because I was like, that's so special.
Mm.
That's crazy. Like, they've taken time to do that.
Yeah.
Um like, I get a bit emotional talking about it now, because I just think that's incredible. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that connection. And I've got people in my community that would never have interacted with each other, that are now like best friends, that have like met up in person,
Mhm.
um, that found out they live near each other, and they've met up at local reptile shops.
Oh,
And
wow.
I think that's incredible.
Mhm.
So that's definitely one of the better sides of it.
See, that's the thing that it's funny you say about, your day-to-day friends that aren't in the hobby as such. They don't get it, and you can be humored. I found that I'm sometimes humored, and people will go, oh yeah, how big's that lizard? Oh, she's 3.5. But the problem is usually when they ask me a question about any of the animals, I then just verbal diarrhea. I just
Yeah.
carry on with, and eventually you can see that they're looking at you like, I didn't ask that, and I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
I'll stop. But then when you meet people, like I say, who are within the hobby, who you maybe weren't speaking to before, and they understand, and they're getting just as excited as you are about it, and then they're telling you about theirs, and then you're discussing this. It's great. It really is great, because I guess it's almost like you feel less lonely,
Yeah, 100%.
because it is
100%.
it's quite a niche, isn't it? Like, there are people that, let's not beat around the bush. There's people in the world that hate snakes, that hate lizards, like, as in, not even just dislike them, they have a hatred for them.
Yep.
So then to find people that love them as much as you do, it's always quite nice.
Yeah,
Like,
like, I've got friends that literally will not come over. I have to come to them because they're
oh,
scared of my animals, and they just won't have it. I've got
yes.
some friends that have, like, slowly combated their fear. They'll let me show them photos, and some of them will come over now, but I do have friends that are like, "I'm not coming in your house. Like, you have a snake or you have a spider. Like, that's not
Spider, yeah.
happening."
Mm.
Um,
Yeah,
and it's
my little sister she's basically got arachnophobia, like,
mhm.
always just been fear, like a massive fear of spiders. And then I remember telling her that I bought a jumping spider, and she went, "Ah, you're joking." And I was like, "I'm not." She's like, "Ah, no, you
Oh,
would
no.
buy a spider." And I was like, "I bought a spider." She was like, and obviously for her, she was like, "Why? Why would you do that?" Luckily, she still does come to my house, which is nice. But every time she sort of walks into this area, she goes, "Right, where is it?" And I go, "It's up there. She's still in her box. Do you want to see her?" "No." "All right, no worries." And what else have I had before? So I had a few friends come round. They visited me from London, and a couple of them, no, one of them especially, she loves snakes. She hasn't got any, but she loves them. A couple of them indifferent. One of them pretty scared of snakes.
Mhm.
I got them all in the reptile. All of them managed to get in here. Once one of the snakes came out, he sort of went, "I'm out." I said, "No." I said, "Look, just look at her. Look at the snake." And my friend, who really likes him, she was holding this snake. But obviously, being a royal python, she immediately just balled up straight away. Like, obviously, eventually she sort of got over the fear and started moving around. But initially, I was like, "Look, she's not doing anything. She's just a ball. She's not gonna bite you because she's scared of you." And he was a little bit sort of like, that curiosity you can see when people are going, "Is she gonna? Is she?" You're like, "You're fine. Come and see it." And then they start doing the whole, "Can I touch it?" "Yes, of course you can." And it's nice seeing it. Like, all right, he didn't go home going, yeah, I'm going to get one myself. But he went from not wanting to come into the room to actually stroking the snake.
I love that. That
It's,
feels amazing as well. Like, 'cause I know that exact feeling.
I think we owe it to these animals really to try and get as many people to, even if it's not to love them, to understand them as we can.
Mhm.
You know, it's one thing for people to be scared of them, that's fine. But if we can help, because like you say on social media, there's so much dramatization and sometimes exploitation of these animals, like for dramatic effect, and
Mhm.
that's not it. That's what gets the views, unfortunately. But
Yeah.
if we as ethical content creators can go, chill, this snake isn't going to eat your child, actually she's really gentle and more scared of you, the more people we can reach with that, then the better, for sure.
No, I think it's crazy the impact that social media can have and that reach you can have on changing people's perspectives. Like I've had people join my lives that are they've been like, why? Like you said with the jumping spider, like why would you want to keep insects? Why would you want to keep invertebrates?
Hmm.
And there are people who have joined my lives months and months ago who were like, I don't understand why you love these insects in particular, because you know that kind of is my main niche.
Hmm.
Um, that now have told me they want to study entomology.
Wow.
And I think that's crazy. But it doesn't the compassion doesn't stop there. Like the little just that little shift in like, oh, I touched that snake. I feel a little bit better about it now.
Mhm.
Could mean that I don't know something. It may sound like a bit of a stretch, but maybe when someone goes to throw litter on the floor, they think like about the fact that that could hurt a bird
Mhm.
or an animal, and they're considering the lives of animals more than they otherwise would.
Yeah, yeah. But because a lot of the time people do take it for granted, they don't really think about it, you know. Whereas obviously the likes of us, like I know I was walking the dog earlier on, and I got very distracted putting an Instagram story up because I saw some really pretty birds flying around. I was like, oh, we've not seen them for a little while. I'm assuming it's because it's maybe getting warmer or something. But most people won't see them. They're just birds. You know what I mean? Whereas for those of us who are into our animals and we love them, you know, from the smallest ones to the biggest ones, we notice these things. And if we can help people just take that second to notice them a bit more, it could work absolute wonders, because, you know, there's a lot of bad going on in the world, and a lot of it, you know, unfortunately affects animals, and there's nothing they can do to help themselves. It's up to us to do so.
Sure, that's so funny because you, you said about the birds and how it doesn't phase people. I've been driving my partner absolutely bonkers for the past couple of months because suddenly one day after making like a certain number of videos, it just clicked that I could see an animal and I could just find out what it is and I could research it and I could like learn cool things about these animals that are around me.
Yeah.
And one day I saw this bird fly past my window and I was like, what is that? That looks like a seagull, but like someone like smacked it in the face with a shovel or something. Like, what is that? Like it just looks like a smushed seagull. And
Yeah.
I looked it up and like I was like, I don't know, like looking for all these birds that it could be based on like the type of area I live in and this, that, or other. And I identified that they were black-headed gulls.
Right. Okay.
What was really weird is because of the time of year it being winter, they didn't have black heads; they were white. So it like so I ended up diving into this, and I learned that over time, like in the winter, they go all white, but as it comes back into like warmer weather, they develop this darker feathering. And I've like info dumped on my partner about these black-headed gulls like
Yeah.
nobody's business. And every time they fly past now, I'm like, Kyle, come here, come to the window. Pretty girls are going past, and he's like, I don't care about these dang birds.
Mm, mm. Yeah, yeah, that sounds about right. It is funny because, I mean, is your partner that is he into it as much as you, or is he just no, no, no?
No, he
I'm in
just
the same boat.
tolerates it.
Yes, yeah, yeah, I'm in the same boat. It's funny because there's times that obviously if I'm filming something, I need someone to film it for me, and the only person I get to do that is the missus. Like I literally did something tonight, and she was like, right, what do you want me to do? I said, right, I just need you to do this and that, and I need you to do that. Do you get, yeah, yeah, all right, no worries. And it's just like, she did it, I filmed it, I watched it back, and she went, I don't get it. And I went, you don't have to get it. I said, I'll show you. Like, I was like, I'll show you the end product, but it's all up here at the minute. She was like, yeah, fine. And then again, like, I try and talk to her about, you know, Ragnar and the upgrades, and I'm trying to do this, and then I'm emulating nature by coming up soon. Like, she's going to have more light, more spraying, more food, because it's going to do this. And then eventually she just like glazes over. She's just like, okay. And then I realised that she's not really listening anymore, so I go and speak to my reptile friends instead.
Yes, I feel that. I feel that so much.
But again, without social media, it wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, my partner's not super into his animals, but he has slowly been warming up to some of them, which I like. Like, he's more brave than me with tarantula rehousing. Like,
Okay.
he's grown quite fond of Salsa, my tarantula,
Okay.
which is really cool. And he's had like these little moments, and sometimes I get upset because I see him have these moments, and then it's like he just goes back to like not being interested, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, we were so close.
yeah. But like, those moments are precious to me, and he's been an absolute diamond, actually, because I've got like a lot of chronic illnesses, and I've not been doing too well in the mornings, and I've been waking up recently, and he's like, I changed the frog's water, and I've done your gecko's crested gecko diet this morning and given her a spritz, and I've sorted the lights out for you.
Excellent.
And every now and then the frog or the gecko will do something interesting, and he'll wake me up and he'll tell me like, oh, like, I saw Zora do this thing, and I'm like, oh, you're really getting it. But like, it makes sense to me as well, because I love all animals, and I make videos about all kinds of animals, but I do have animals that I'm lesser interested in than others. Like, I mean, disregard what I just said about the black-headed gulls, but like, birds are not
Yeah.
a top interest for me. But if we go into a exotic shop and they have birds, he's glued to the
Oh,
birds.
wow. Okay.
He is there. He's watching them. He's going, and he's glued. Like,
Yeah.
we go into our local reptile shop, but they also have birds there, and he's like, right, when you've got all the reptile stuff, come find me. I'll be with the birds. And stuff explained to him, like, that love you feel towards the birds, the way they fascinate you. That's how I feel about insects and about reptiles.
Yeah.
And that
I mean,
made it make sense.
I that's similar to what I say to my missus as well. Like, she loves cats, and we've got 2 ragdoll cats, and they're basically her babies. Like, without a doubt, she adores these cats. They are her world. Absolutely loves them. I don't get on very well with these cats, I'll be honest. They're a little bit too vocal for my liking, and they're a bit too needy. Even though I've got a golden retriever who's obviously even more needy, it's almost like that's
growing on you a little bit, though.
And the thing is, I don't mind them. It's not like I dislike them and hate them. It's not like, but it's just every now and again I'll just like, they'll just be shouting for no reason, and I'll just be sat there going, and I look over at them and they're just like, yeah, like, you're pushing your luck now, boy, because you've been fed. I've seen you drink water. Your kitty litter has been changed. You're not going outside because it's raining. So what do you want? And he's just like, yeah. And I'm like, oh god. But this is
that so well.
Oh, honestly, these cats, like, because I say they're ragdoll, so they're more vocal as well. Oh my god, are they vocal? But I say to her, like, the love that you have for those cats and the way you feel about them and the way you see the videos of other ragdolls online and other cats, I said, that's how I feel with reptiles. And then and only then does she sometimes go, all right, I get that. So I mean, I get that, because obviously sometimes it's hard to, because then at the same time you could flip that, and how I feel about them is how she feels about the cats. Because there's times she's there, she's giving them a little cuddle, or she's they're in bed, and I'm sitting going, can I have some room on the bed? Do you know what I mean? Do you mind if I sit down as well? But then you think about it, you go, all right, I still move him up, obviously, but I'm like, I get it. Like, we all love these animals, but I guess you've got your favourites, haven't you?
Yeah. Do you know what?
Yeah.
I get that all the time. Like, people are like, oh no, you can't pick a favourite. And I'm like, but you can. Like, I can still provide top care for my animals, and I can still love all my animals. But like,
Yeah.
if you tell me you don't have a favorite, you're lying to yourself and you're lying to me. Like you always will have your favorites. Like if you ask anyone on my Discord server what my favorite animal is, they'll tell you it's Fig.
Hmm.
And it's clear because he's so derpy, and I post photos of him more than any other animal. And it's not like I don't
Hmm.
love my other animals. It's just that he's so strange.
Yeah,
He's just a massive weirdo.
love that. I mean, it's similar to, like I say, because I've got a few royals. It's almost like, again, it's almost like you're not allowed to have a favorite. I've got a favorite, and I'm not ashamed to admit that. I mean, obviously, as I'm sure you're aware as well, and here we go, Riddler's bingo, shutting down the rack, don't want it anymore, hate it. Some royals have got to be moved on to other homes, which is quite nice because most of them are going to homes in enclosures, which is nice. So they're getting out of the rack anyway. But obviously, with that being said, there's some that I had to choose that I wanted to keep and some that I was willing to move on. Obviously, that means I prefer some to others as such, if that makes sense. I still love them all. We named them all, we fed them, cleaned them, everything. We love the snakes, but there's those that are just slightly, but you know what I mean? Like the first DIY Viv I did, I knew immediately which snake was going in there. He was my favourite one. Like, there's no two ways about it. Like my pinstripe pied boy, he was going in there and he is loving it. Like he's class. I love seeing him in there. But again, like you say, that doesn't mean we love the other animals any less.
Exactly.
It's an interesting thought. It is. It's actually, to be fair, not something I've discussed with anyone before. That's a really interesting thought. For anyone watching this, drop in the comments below what your which of your favorite, which of your animals is your favorite. Let's see if we can get some clarity on some other people's. But no, I agree with you.
Yeah, something people are really self-conscious about. They feel bad about it, and I'm like, no, don't. As long as you're not like, this one's my favorite, so I'm going to provide them everything,
Yeah,
and like the rest of them, like they can wait. Like, like as long
yeah.
as you're still providing good care for them and you're doing your best for them, it's okay to have a favorite. Like,
Well, I mean, to be fair, my favorite reptile is Ragnar.
I mean,
Like,
understand.
even though Uber is my favorite royal, Ragnar is my favorite reptile. There's no two ways about it. Like, she is incredible. Like, what an animal. You
I
know
mean,
what I
she's
mean?
my favorite reptile of yours too. So I get
I get that a lot. There's no two ways about it. The amount of times Kieran has said to me, "Can I have Ragnar?" I'll tell him no every single time, but he still asks me. Like when I said, I think I put it in George's Discord. I said, if anyone wants any stick insects, I'm going to bring some stick insects. If anyone wants any free of charge, I'm not going to charge. Kieran piped up and he said, "Can I have Ragnar?"
I
No,
love
Kieran,
that.
you can't. You can keep asking, that's fine, but you can't have her. But I've got to
Yeah.
get him round one day. He's got to meet her without a doubt.
Yes, Kieran's
But
awesome.
he's such a good chap. I tell you what, he's a nice chap. Is Kieran? I like Kieran, but yeah, I tell you what, some of his enclosures are stunning as well.
Amazing.
Mm,
He's working on one at the moment, and I'm not going to spoil anything because he spilled some secrets with me. But like, I don't know, the temptation to be like, I'll pay you to come here and do my king snake background. Like,
mm,
it
mm.
looks amazing,
I've
and like,
seen. I think he's. You know what? I think there's a certain couple of people because he sent me a couple of videos as well.
yes,
But do you know what? It's one of those. When sometimes you just can't help yourself. You
yep,
have to share it with someone. It
yep.
doesn't matter
To
how
get some
big
of
of a
my
secret it
secrets
is.
pretty quickly.
Yeah. Literally, you've got to be like. In actual fact, I've actually been chatting to George tonight as well, and I did the same thing. There was another one. I was like, George, I have to show this to someone. Can I send this to you? And actually, she hadn't replied. Let's have a quick laugh. Let me just see if she'd replied. She might not have done. No, she hasn't. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, the chances are she's going to reply with, "Oh my god, yes," and that's fine.
I
But
love, do you know what? There's something about George that makes you want to tell her everything. I think as well because her care is so top tier. Like she's
mm,
so ahead of everyone in like providing the best for her animals. There's nothing quite like getting George's approval on a reptile upgrade or something that you're working on like that.
mm.
Like she's so supportive of that.
See, my favorite thing with George is she gets it in the net quite often about only having two reptiles. only.
That grinds my gears.
I really like, the thing is, it's one thing to say you've only got 2 reptiles, so how can you be knowledgeable on the care for each individual species? That's one thing, like within reason. Like if I was keeping horned desert lizards, I think, or whatever they're called, I'm not being funny, George wouldn't be my first port of call because they're quite species specific. They're quite, but that doesn't mean that she's not knowledgeable. That doesn't mean she can't say, well, what you want is you want, UVB here, and then you want this sort of heat gradient. If I, like, for example, let's just say I wanted a hognose, which I do. I'm going to emulate what, like, her setup. There's no two ways
Our
about it.
enclosures are stunning.
Yeah. Yeah,
They're
and
stunning.
and having less animals doesn't mean you've got less knowledge. Like, I'm not being funny. She's probably got triple the knowledge of other people that have got 10 times the amount of reptiles.
I mean, as well as that, a lot of people will build up animals really quickly and they're not putting the time into understanding those species inside out. Like, George may not know about thorny devil lizards, but
that's it. That's the ones.
If you ask her about hognoses, crested geckos, or now the Vietnamese mossy frogs, I guarantee there's probably not many questions you could ask that she wouldn't know the answer to, because she's researched the animals that she's keeping inside out. And if she doesn't know the answer, one thing I do like about George is that she'll tell you, I don't know the answer, but here's this person who might be able to give you that information.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you know what? I think obviously there's a lot to be said for that. And I try and do the same. If people ask me, I'll answer as best I can. But if I don't know the answer, I'll say I don't know. Because obviously the last thing you want to do is give incorrect information. Yeah. On the other side, you have to have people that are willing to listen to that information and are willing to take it on board. So I saw, again, it was it sounds like I'm on a Facebook rampage at the minute, but it's only because it's happened recently. I was on, what was it? It was like it was about monitors and things like that. And someone was talking about the light cycle and the heat for their monitor. And a guy came in and he went, oh yeah, he said, I've got my lights on 24/7, absolutely fine. And I commented and I said, 24/7? What? Literally, as in 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Because sometimes people say 24/7 and it's like an exaggeration. And he went, yeah, it's always on, because there's no point in me feeding and then when they need to digest, the lights go off so they can't digest properly. And I was like, it doesn't work like that. It's like, all right, the heat helps with digestion, but keep the lights on later or feed earlier.
Yeah.
Or there's so many different things you can do.
I mean, you should be replicating their wild habitat. The sun's not always beaming down on anyone.
I said to him that any animal that is exposed to 24/7 daylight is going to be stressed out. Oh, this is what I've been doing for years, and this is what most of the breeders do as well. Not all of them, and there's no stress at all. And he's always basking. If he's always basking, your temperatures aren't high enough. It's not because he loves it, it's because your temperatures aren't hot enough. But he wasn't willing to listen. And again, I didn't attack him. I didn't, send for him and say you're a piece of shit, or I just questioned it, and then I said maybe this and that, but he wasn't willing to listen.
I think it's good, your approach of like asking questions. I think you see a lot of like a little segue in here, but you see a lot of people, especially on TikTok, coming at people in a very aggressive manner about their care. But the reality is, if you strip it right back, if you there's like always I think there's always like a little childish part of everyone where if you aggressively, like, you might be about to get a glass of water. Now, if I come at you and I say, you haven't drank enough today, you idiot, go get a glass of water right now. You'll be like, I'm not getting a glass of water right now. Like, you don't
100%.
Like,
that's literally exactly what I do as a 30-year-old man. You've told me to do it, so I'm not going to do it now. In actual fact, I'll do it when I decide to do it, and then I forget. And
that aggressive approach is never going to work. It's why I put together the team of people I have for Educate, Don't Berate is like we're trying to start some kind of movement and just make a shift in the reptile community or exotic pet community in general of, you know, if you want to help someone improve their care, if it's for the welfare of that animal and not for views and likes or whatever, then talk to that person in a way, like assume the best of them, assume that they're doing their best and that they didn't know or they didn't understand something, and explain it to them. Otherwise, scroll past, because if you're just going to aggressively attack this person, they're more likely to go, I'll drink a glass of water when I want to drink a glass of water, thank you. And you're not actually going to, they're not going to be receptive to that. And actually, you're causing more harm to that animal because
The
they're going to have a
defenses go
negative,
straight up.
the guards up. They're not
Yep.
open to thinking about it.
Mhm.
If you gently approach it and you know, just share some helpful information, just put it out into the universe for them, they might at some point, they may not right away take that on board, but they might one day decide like, I wonder if what they said about UVB is true. Like maybe I'll just give it a quick Google search, and that could make a whole world of difference for that animal, genuinely.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, there was one recently. Oh God, I can't believe I'm coming up with a third example of me doing Facebook.
Another Facebook
Maybe,
example.
maybe I am a bit of a Facebook warrior then. But again, I was actually quite proud of this one because the amount of people that commented about my comment about how respectful it was quite nice to see, because people were, they can very easily, like you say, just absolutely send for someone. They'll see a setup and go, right, well, that's shit. Your animal's going to die. Game over. It was a guy, he'd done a little DIY setup, and I just happened to notice that he had reptile carpet on there. Right. Now, I thought there's two ways I can approach this. I can say, right, reptile carpet's bad, get rid of it. Immediately, he's going to go, no. Like you say, guard up. I'm not going to get rid of it now. I'm going to keep it forever. But what I did in the end was I said, hey, dude, really nice looking setup. I like the levels, this and that. So I hit him with a bit of a compliment. And I was like, just one bit of friendly advice. I'd probably suggest going for substrate instead of reptile carpet, because it's really bad for harboring germs and things like that. And it's not the best thing you can use. So I'd probably say a substrate. Other than that, really nice. That's all it takes. Like, unfortunately, it didn't work. He went, oh, I've tried substrate and my animal didn't like it, so I'm going to stick with this, and we clean it every now and again. And I was like, well, you're a lost cause. But the amount of people that were like, that's how you approach something like this.
Yes.
You don't have to just call someone a piece of shit and say that their animal's going to die to get a message across, because it doesn't work. It does not work at all. If someone did it to me, I'd immediately go, not interested.
Yeah,
not interested.
100%. I mean, it goes both ways as well, though. Like, I get a lot of comments on my videos often where people are trying to give me advice, and I'm very receptive to advice. Like, if you can tell me how to do something better, like, please do, because I want the best for my animals.
Yeah.
But sometimes people comment, and I'm like, oh no, because they'll comment in a way that's very blunt, and I'm like, oh gosh, this isn't going anywhere very good. I'm a bit worried about this. Like, but I've also on TikTok experienced, like, my go-to now, and kind of since I've been on TikTok really, has been to assume the best in people, and I'll respond in like a nice, calm manner and see where it goes. And I had someone recently, they basically commented and said, your substrate for your frog isn't deep enough. It needs to be this much minimum, and also that moss you've got in there, you're literally killing your frog. What are you doing? And I was like, like, panic. Am I killing my frog? Is this person going to be really angry at me? And I responded and I said, I've got plans to increase the depth of the substrate in the enclosure. I'm working on an upgrade. I'm going to order substrate barriers together so I can increase that, because I totally agree with you. It could be better. But like, what's the issue with the moss? And they said, the moss is too long. I'm going to tag you in some of my videos. And they tagged me in a bunch of their videos. I watched them. They were really, really informative. And I ended up having like a conversation with this person in that kind of comment thread. And it was really, really nice. And I think that I think they were German. And I think, quite honestly, the bluntness was just a language barrier.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. That it makes sense. It really does. Sometimes people don't mean to, and the thing is, it's very difficult to get these things across on social media anyway. Like, without facial expressions, without tone of voice and things like that, it's very difficult, that unless someone makes it plainly obvious with, maybe, I don't know, emojis or anything like that, or sometimes a comment of, it could be something as simple as that, can look like you're being attacked, whereas in actual fact it might be someone who it's not their first language, or maybe they're not very good behind the screen and things like that. And that's sometimes what it comes down to. All right, you do get dickheads online who are
Yeah.
just out to attack you, but not all the time. And like you say, it's always good to assume the best of people, and I like
Most
that. I
people
think
are
that's
good-hearted. I think most
mm,
people do have the best intent, and I
mm,
could have so easily popped my guard up and been defensive, and being like, "You don't know what you're talking about. Like, who the heck do you think you are coming over to my page and telling me this, that, or other?"
mm,
But that would have led to me having like a negative relationship with this person.
mhm.
They could have had a crap day. I'd have had a crap day, and I wouldn't have learned things that I learned.
Yeah.
Like, like, and it's so easily done. But I mean, it's funny because you said just now, like, um, if someone doesn't put an emoji or something, you can't detect the tone. I have that opposite problem when I message people. I always put emojis on the end of things, but there's through like online and social media, like things can be interpreted in so many ways. Because I
Mm.
think because I'm being assessed for autism, I'm hyper aware of it. So I put emojis on the end of everything. I'm like, please, no, I'm not being blunt. I don't hate you. Look at all my smiley faces.
Yeah.
And I have people thinking, I've had people come back at me because they think I'm being sarcastic. So I've used the wrong smiley face, and that's
Oh
a
God.
sarcastic smiley face.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah. But then, to be fair, sometimes that is just people reading too much into
yeah,
it as well. It's like, I saw something a little while ago that was like, the next generation of obviously adults are coming in and thinking that if you put a full stop at the end of a sentence, that you're annoyed with them and that it's negative. It's not. It's just the end of the sentence. But because of the way some people have been raised or grown up with the way we talk on text and things like that, if you get full stopped by someone, that's it. You're in trouble. I hate
yes.
you. I've just hit you with a full stop. And people are trying to work and do emails at work, and they're going, "Oh my God, I'm going to get sacked. My boss just put a full stop at the end of the sentence."
No, I don't hate you. I just did English lit A level.
Yeah, 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 literally that. But that's one of the things with social media, is it there's no tone, there's no, yeah, it's difficult to get things like that across. I'm glad you mentioned educate, don't berate, because it came to mind, because obviously we've known that we were going to record this for a little while, and me being who I am, I said, don't forget to ask about that. Did I write it down? No. Did I write anything down? No. Do I ever? No. Will I ever? Probably not. So yes, I forgot, but luckily you've mentioned it. So I was going to ask you about. I can't, honestly. I'm so bad. I do things like that, and I go, right, next time, just write it down. Just put a note in your phone. It takes 3 seconds. I never do. But anyway, enough about that. So tell us about Team Educate, Don't Berate.
So I put the team together, as I was saying, like to kind of push this movement and message forward that kindness can do a lot more good for the welfare of animals than attacking people for their you know inadequate care for their animals. And so the team of people I've put together are content creators who don't look like they're going anywhere anytime soon. They're very invested in making their content. They're putting out educational content, or they're changing perspectives in their kind of niche or whatever. But mostly like kind, friendly faces that that if you need advice on an animal that they have a particular knowledge on, you can approach them and they're never going to berate you. They're never
Yeah,
going to make you feel crap. They're going to share helpful resources, and they're reliable people you can go to. Um, and so it's quite a small team at the moment. But I'm hoping eventually to have like a huge bunch of people in the team, all with their own different specialties,
yeah,
that are fronting this kind of movement for. I know it's very ambitious for a small creator like myself, but I'm hoping for it to be something bigger,
yeah,
like a bigger movement that kind of shifts the perspective. Because I've got the same opinions, and I have a lot of people. Like, I have people in the team that are part of the ethical reptile community. But there are people who are in the ethical reptile community as well who maybe are a bit more aggressive in their approach. And if I can sway some of those people to maybe shift their mindset a little bit, I think it could have a bit of a butterfly effect in a positive way, you know.
Hmm.
And we've got some new people joining. Like we've just had Sam join. I don't know if you know Sam. He's got Minion, the wood
Oh
python,
yes, yeah, yeah, legend.
tree python. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's just joined the team.
Oh,
Um,
excellent.
yeah, so I'm hoping to expand that quite a bit this year. Um, I like doing the team videos we've been doing. Bless Tara, she always comes up with the team video ideas.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we've got like a group chat on Discord, and we're always sharing and like discussing topics in a really healthy way, and I love that. Like it's just a really positive group of people, um, and yeah, hopefully it grows into something bigger.
Has it got its own page as such, or is it like just everyone as individuals that's got maybe like the hashtag or is a member of or something like that?
So I encourage everyone in the team. So anyone that joins the team, I ask them to put "educate, don't berate" in their bio and put a
Okay.
link in their link tree because there's a website. It's not fully where I want it
Okay.
just yet.
Yeah, yeah,
The website you open the website and it's got a front page that explains who I am and why I put the team together. And then you
hmm,
can click meet the team. And then it has a photo of each member, what their
yeah,
specialism is. And you can click their photo or their app and it will take you
yeah.
straight to their TikTok page. And so you can easily get in touch with them or follow them if they have the relevant expertise. Um,
Excellent.
there's helpful resources on the website that I've been building up. So if you need a care guide or like some helpful information on an animal, it's there.
Hmm.
And I'm hoping eventually to put a forum together on there as well. So if people wanted to have discussions about things on there, they can. Um,
This, I mean, by the sounds of things, this, I know you said it's ambitious, and it is, but the potential you've got there is incredible. Like
thank you.
it's like that little glimmer of light. Do you know what I mean? It's like this because you see so much online. It can be such a toxic place. It really, really can. That you just want to go, oh, what's the point? You know what I mean? So the fact that you're building almost like an Avengers, like a little, do you know what I mean?
You're
Like
not the
you've got,
first person to say that.
yeah, there you go. You're building like a reptile Avengers that, you know, that's going to show that you don't have to be scared to ask for advice, that you don't have to be scared. Because the thing is, what would we rather? Would we rather someone with an enclosure with two male leopard geckos in it that's got reptile carpet and a red lamp to continue doing what they're doing because they're scared of the blowback? Or do we want them to say, hi guys, can you tell me what maybe I'm doing wrong? And have this person separate these geckos, get rid of the reptile carpet, add overhead heat and UVB that's halogen. Of course, you're going to want the latter. But if they go
Absolutely.
online and they see on a daily basis people getting attacked for asking questions or posting their enclosures, they're not going to post anything. And then the animals are the ones that suffer. It's not the people that suffer, it's the animals.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're doing that, I think, is incredible. And anyone watching, that link is going to be in the description as well, as long as you're happy for it to be there. I know you said it's still not where you want it to be, but it will be in the description down there because I think that's incredible what you're doing. And I fully support that. And we will shout it out as much as we can for sure. I mean, how did the idea sort of come up for you, though? Was it just a eureka moment or is it something you'd been thinking of for a little while?
It's so I was thinking, like, I was getting kind of upset because I was like following all different like reptile creators, um, like when I joined TikTok, and I was following all these different exotic keepers, and I was seeing just like so much drama and hatred towards each other, and I'm like, I feel so isolated in my day to day life. Like I'm chronically ill. I'm in the house on my own. Like I've joined social media, because as well as educating and changing perspectives, like I want to make some friends. I want to
Yeah.
find people that share those interests with me. And I was seeing all these people who, like, I really like and I like their content, but they were all fighting each other and being really mean to each other. And I was just like, I don't I don't understand. Like, you love reptiles, they love reptiles, I like reptiles. Like, why are we not being friends? Like, we all want the same things. Like, we want the best for our animals. Like, there was so much hatred and you know, people are like passionate because they love their animals and they want the best for people's animals. But I don't think people were thinking about how much of a difference that would actually make. How maybe that aggressive approach isn't the best way to go about it. And I was on the phone to someone. I don't know. I was on the phone to either Alicia, Kieran, or like someone that's kind of close to my community, and I was like having a bit of a vent about that. And I just randomly came out with, you know, be educating, don't be berating people, and I was like just in like
Yeah.
a passionate rant. And then
Bing!
later down
Yeah.
the line, whoever it was, because my memory is honestly like a sieve, made a post on TikTok and they said, as at Pip and Friends says, educate, don't berate. And I was like, whoa, like that like sat with them all
Yeah.
this time. And now they're posting a video with that as a tagline in their video. Like, maybe if that sat with them, like I could use that, and that's like a quick little tagline that might stick with other people. Um and so I just went like, sod it, let's do it. Let's do something with this. And originally it was just going to be, here's a group of people you can go to, but I've put this group of people together, and they've got all these ideas, and it's slowly spiraling, hopefully into something bigger and better. And I'm talking about maybe monthly email newsletters whether the team putting the work together to put together, and like so many ideas.
That would be incredible. A monthly newsletter would be great. I like that. It's funny because, like, obviously you say like it stuck with someone. It reminds me because there's something that Paul said to me a little while ago, as in Paul's monitors.
Love
I
him.
can't remember if he's great. What a guy. Oh look, Riddler's bingo. I've mentioned Paul again. The one that because it's similar to what you said. You know, it's like if you can get one thing out there and it spreads. He once was talking to me about something similar, and he was like, sometimes all it takes is a drop in the ocean to send the ripples out that
Yeah.
turn into waves and that will reach more people. Just that one drop in the ocean. That's all it takes. And you sit there and you go, that's good. That's good. It's leading by example. It's a drop in the ocean, but the ripples can have an effect. And I was like, yeah, that's good. And again, like I'm mentioning it now, I've known him for over a year now, and that was one of the first things we spoke about, and it stuck with me. So I think, as much as it's ambitious, what you're saying, I mean, I am an advocate for ambition. I am. Sometimes I'm grilled for how ambitious I am with some things, but I don't think that's a bad thing. But the potential you've got there, I think, is incredible. So I wish, obviously, all of you the best of luck with that. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what you can all do with it, because I think it would be great.
Thank you.
That's all right. No worries. Right. We've been going for over an hour and a half already. So I think, have you got anything else you wanted to sort of discuss or bring up at all? Or was there anything on your mind that you wanted to talk about?
No, I've got the memory. I've got a sieve memory. I can't think of anything.
That's fine, not a problem. All right, if that's the case, then have you got any questions for me?
Mm,
I
mm.
probably should have mentioned this yesterday when you said, what am I sort of going to ask you? But again, I forgot. It didn't occur to me to say, oh, yeah, by the way, I'm going to ask you if you've got any questions for me, because I always just roll with it. It doesn't occur to me that some people aren't like, you know, for me, if someone says that, I can go, yeah, probably. But some people go, oh, shit, I'm on the spot here.
Okay. Okay. Hmm.
Okay.
If you were to like pick one thing that you've learned as a reptile or exotics keeper, and that was the only message you were able to repeat for the rest of time online, and it was just one sentence that you could have stick with people, what would it be?
Oh, that is incredible. For on the spot, that is one hell of a question. Fair play. Um, That's very good. Do you know what? There's one that's come into my mind straight away, but I'm just trying to think if there's anything better. So the first thing that's come to mind is that every reptile deserves UVB. I did not know that. I was one of the people that was told. Again, this is what I mean. That I'm not trying to be a slopey shoulder, but when I first got a leopard gecko, I was told heat mat doesn't need light, doesn't need UVB because they're nocturnal. They come out at night, so they don't need it. All right, fine. That's what I was told. That's what I was led to believe. These were from people that owned a reptile shop. So as far as I was aware, they knew better than me. Do you know what I mean? Who am I to question that? But all it takes is a little bit of research and for someone just to knock you over the edge and go, are you sure? Are you sure that's what it is? And then you look into it and you go, shit. I think I found that out. I looked into it. And within 2 weeks of a bit more research, both my leopard geckos that I had in separate enclosures both had overhead heat, UVB, and an LED.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone starts somewhere.
Of course. And it's always a journey. Like you say, you've got to start somewhere, and you're not going to start at perfection. It doesn't work like that, you know. But it's amazing to me how many people still don't understand that every reptile should have access to UVB, regardless of whether they're a ball python or royal python. That I speak to too many Americans. A royal python that comes out at night. I've seen every royal python that I've got that's got UVB, which at the minute is, well, half of them actually, which is quite nice because that's a lot higher than it was before. I've seen them basking. I've seen them under the UV. I've seen them out whilst the LED is on. I've seen them under the halogen. They need access to it. It's down to choice. If you give them that choice, if they don't want to use it, fine. However, if they do and it's there, you're winning. You are absolutely winning. So yeah, I think that was the first thing that came to mind. Every reptile should have access to UVB.
I love that.
Now, obviously, I'm nearly there. Who hasn't? The milk snake, her one, she did have one, but it blew quite recently, which, how's that for timing? And that aside, so I've moved a royal into a Viv quite recently. She hasn't got one yet. So 2 of my reptiles currently haven't got that are in Vivs. Out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm not even going to sit here and try and count, but basically everyone that's in a Viv, or almost everyone that's in a Viv, bar 2, has got overhead heat, UVB, and most of them now have got LEDs as well. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. It makes such a difference, though. That's the thing. It really does. I think it should be the minimum. Oh, hello, sweetheart. Talk to the devil. One of the royals is just poking out, going, "Are you talking about me?" Yeah, you. Yeah, I'm talking about you and the fact that I've seen you under your UVB. But I'm going to go with that. I think it's a good message to get across, and unfortunately, a lot of people still don't realise it. I was one of them. This isn't going to be me sitting here on my high horse saying that I'm a legend and I knew that from day one. I didn't. But if we can get more people to change their minds and realise that it's very important, then we're winning.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, George actually told me about implementing UVB for my crested gecko. I saw her digging, eating substrate at one point, that was stressing me out. So literally, like almost instantly, as soon as I implemented UVB for her, she stopped doing that. She was more active. Like the change was immediate, and like it's nice being told it, implementing it, and then seeing it, seeing it in front of you, the benefits it has. I think it's awesome that you've done that.
I mean, one thing that I'm really looking forward to, and again, it might be a little way down the line just yet, but I really want to get Luminize on the Tokay enclosure, especially. I think that with a Jungle Dawn and a UVB, because she's got LED and UVB. But if I was to be able to get that with the old, like where it ramps up and down, that enclosure will just be, it'll be my best one, without a doubt. There's no 2 ways about it. That will be my, like, it's already up there. I'm just trying to think which ones. it's between that and the recent Royal Python build I did. But if that was to get overhead, or not overhead, sorry, if that was to get Luminize, UVB, and Jungle Dawn, next level. And I would, oh, it is, it's incredible. And I can't wait to start getting more of them. But yeah, if I was to be able to sit and watch the Tokay when it's starting to dim and things like that, especially when they're both in there, oh my God, that's going to be incredible. But
and you don't have to think about it, because I'm doing it manual style at the moment. Like my crested gecko enclosure, she's got a UVB, she's got the Jungle Dawn, like the LED thing, and
yeah,
she's got a halogen and a deep heat projector
okay,
being demonstrated
yeah.
behind me. But so her UVB is on a cycle, and I've got like one of those, like, you know, those old timer plugs that is plugged in.
Yeah,
Does that, and
yeah.
then once so I turn the LED strip off in the evening when it hits, like, I don't know, like 8, then at like 9 the UVB automatically turns off,
Yeah.
and then a while later I'll swap the halogen with a deep heat projector bulb, because I'm fighting for plug sockets right now.
Wow, okay.
I've got heat protective gloves, so I just go in and switch the bulbs around, so she gets like
Wow.
kind of a dimming effect, but
Yeah.
Luminize would just pull it together for me.
Yeah. That's incredible. Wow, fair play. And you do that every day?
Yep.
Wow, fair play to you. That's dedication. Oh, I'll tell you what, if you were to get Luminize on that, you wouldn't know what to do with your spare time after that, would you? Well, what do I do now? That's incredible. Yeah. That's incredible. Right, well, unless you've got any other questions for me at all, which, to be fair, would be tough to top that one. That was incredible.
Yeah, I don't think I can do better.
No, that was great. I really liked that. That was really good. I think we can start wrapping up, because we've been going for nearly 2 hours. Do you remember when I said before we started that time will fly and we won't even realise it?
Yeah, I mean, I was really nervous, but I've just been having a really good time.
It is really good fun. I do really enjoy the podcast, because, like I say, I've said it before, like, even if not many people watch it, I've still enjoyed it. I've still, you know, we've still had a laugh and had an interesting conversation. So, Nate, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on. You never know, maybe in the future we might get you on again, or maybe we'll get you on a live Q&A. Obviously, we're still waiting. Hopefully George can come on at some point again as well. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time. It's been really good fun, and it's been interesting as well. And yeah, all of the links to your socials and obviously Educate Don't Rate will be in the description as well. But from us, that will do. It's been a pleasure, and peace out, everyone.